So here's a great point that Michael Tracy points out. Michael Tracy, who's been kind of this roving reporter for many years, he's done work for Glenn Greenwald. He makes this point about Trump's rhetoric, 51st state, Greenland, all that stuff. He says, new MAGA rule. It's somehow not globalism to annex massive new swaths of territory around the globe in the name of fighting China and Russia. So this is the thing I just find so amazing of people who consider themselves figureheads of MAGA that are very much make America great again. They want America to prosper. How do you not see this? How do you not see that Trump's rhetoric, that him wanting to go into Greenland, that he wants to take over the Panama Canal, that him going into all these different territories, making Canada the 51st state, how he wants to extend and relinquish the borders. How do you not pick up on that and understand that that's the same verbiage that globalists, that MAGA fiercely opposes, also wants? How do you not see the connection? How do you not see this? Is it because it's Trump and because it's Elon Musk, somehow globalism is better under their reign than compared to someone like Soros? Even though it's the same verbiage, it's exactly the same material, the exact same wording that they're using. Somehow Trump's globalism is better than someone like Klaus Schwab or Bill Gates or any of the other nefarious pricks that do the exact same thing. That's just the baffling part of this. He also says underneath this, devising a global spanning order to advance perceived U.S. interests, including by imperial land seizures, is consistent with any cosmable notion of globalism. To the extent that the term usually describes anything, there's a prosperous border between imperialism and globalism. So I think this is the conversation that MAGA should be having, or at least people that are critics of MAGA should be saying that, hey, I thought you guys were, for America first. America needs to deal with its own sovereignty and its own independence before we meddle into other countries. I thought that's why you hated the Democrats. I thought that's why you were against the Ukraine war, because we shouldn't be meddling overseas. I thought that's why you guys are supposed to be anti-war. Now all of a sudden, war is okay, because now we're seizing territory next door to us. We're seizing opportunity. It's economics. It's economics. It's going to be great for everybody when we seize territory. It's not at all globalism, because globalism, that's a Soros term. Here, what we're doing is just good old-fashioned patriotic imperialism, which there's no difference. There's no damn difference. So here is Colin DeMello, reporter for Global News, says new U.S. President-elect Donald Trump says he wants to use economic force to get rid of the artificially drawn line between Canada and the United States. The artificially drawn line. Again, the exact same verbiage that Klaus Schwab and George Soros have also stated and also implemented. That's why we have horrible immigration policies. That's why we have a migrant crisis. That's why corporations don't succeed themselves as being a member of said country. They don't see countries. They just see the international transfer of dollars. That's who really controls the world. That's who really controls the world. We unfortunately don't have presidents. We don't have governments. We have corporations dictating people like Donald Trump, people like Justin Trudeau, people like Pierre Poilievre, people all around the world to do the exact same thing. Get rid of that artificially drawn line. Considering this is supposed to be the guy who cares so much about border security, who threatened Canada with tariffs to talk about their border security. Oh, let's just get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's not worth it. Not worth it. Not the cause. Not the cause. Trump also says the U.S. doesn't need Canada vehicle exports and says he would rather make them in Detroit. Okay, fair point. You want to make Detroit better. You want to make the auto manufacturing in that state beneficial. Okay, sure. Again, that's a trade policy. That's nothing to do with taking over land. But here's Donald Trump just openly announcing this in the just stupidest way possible.
You said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No.
So what the reporter asked there was, are you going to need military force to annex Canada the same way that he's proposing possibly for Greenland and the Panama Canal? And Donald Trump says, no, we're not going to use military force. So that's good. That's good, because God forbid we do not need another 1812 on top of all the bullshit wars that we have been contending for how many goddamn years. I just want a moment's fucking peace. Frankly, I just want a moment's peace without thinking about invading every single country, for God's sakes. But here's where this gets just ridiculous. Here we go.
Economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically...
So, just to repeat there, just to reiterate, we're going to use economic force. It's going to be so beautiful. We're going to take away the artificial line there, that artificial line, the border that I care so much about just 2 seconds ago. We're going to take that away. It's going to be so great. And then we're going to focus on national security. What do you think national security is, you idiots? National security is the border. Notice how he doesn't say that about the Mexican border. Notice he doesn't say that about the southern border. And trying to convince Americans that America should buy up Mexico. Think of all those cartels. You want them now to be American citizens? That is going to be interesting. That is going to be chaotic. But we got to focus on border security. We got to get rid of the borders to focus on border security. Now, I know that Trump is an entertainer. I know that Trump is this reality star. I know this guy really cares about his ratings and his ego. And some of the things he says is just obviously over the top for that reason, because he wants the ratings. He wants the people to react to him immediately. But even for this, how can you not see your own stupidity? How can you not see just how disastrous this is going to be? The fact that you ran a campaign to focus on border security, to focus on national security, to focus on the economic prosperity of America, the independence of America, how we shouldn't be involved in all these other countries, how we shouldn't be involved in Ukraine. You want to stop the war in Ukraine. And now we don't even talk about that. We haven't even talked about that. Biden just passed, another $500 million off to Ukraine? Donald Trump's not even barely mentioning about it anymore. But he is dead set focused on more spending for Israel in the hopes of pleasing people like Miriam Adelson. He's definitely on stead for that. He has people like Marco Rubio and Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth and all these other goons for the Zionist movement, the Zionist project. Obviously, that's going to go ahead. But now here he is, just completely obliterating his former promises, his empty gestures of once upon a time when people would actually adore him and care to him about protecting the border. Now the border doesn't matter. Oh, it's just artificially drawn line. You just draw the line. It's like little squiggles. We don't have to care about that anymore. Again, who also says that? George Soros. You know who also says that? The Rothschild. You know who also says that? Billionaires. Billionaires at Davos. That MAGA hates. So why the hell would you be okay with that verbiage coming out of Donald Trump? Why would you be okay with this? How are you not angered at the fact that Donald Trump is doing the exact workings of Davos, of the World Economic Forum? We're just going to get rid of the borders and we're just going to take over territories. Let's hear this again, because this is baffling.
Said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need.
Again, literally moments ago, Donald Trump used tariffs as a threat, as a measure, as an ultimatum to get Canadians to be focused on their border security, which majority of Canadians are, except for Parliament that's brought to you by billionaires, the same billionaires that also operate Donald Trump's campaign and the Democrats. It's all just one big giant operation, ladies and gentlemen. It's one big giant scheming operation that does not give a damn about anybody. And that is why I have been in the forefront. I've been the most vocal about this, because Canada has spent years and years building up its independency. Canada has spent a huge amount of time and energy and resources to build the country that is now. I know it's not great. I know that we need to prosper better. I know that we need to fix things up. But that is for us to do. That is for the Canadian populace to decide. Not for American investors to just go in and be like, oh, look at, we're just going to take and take and take and then. Like it's some sort of clearance sale. Like somehow Canada's going out of business, so they're going to swarm in and buy the place. Like, Jesus effing Christ. I'm sorry, but it's just absolutely absurd. But it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. Anyway, here's the rest.
Their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber.
So what? So now to make that point, because he talks about cars and lumber, why do you need Canada then? What's the point of all this? What is the point of all this? Is it because you're an entertainer and just wants to exfoliate the crowd, I guess? You want to raise the tensions a bit? Because you just said there, I'd rather make the cars in Detroit. Okay, fair enough. We got lots of lumber here. We got lots of yards of lumber. Okay, fair point. I agree with that. I agree that you guys should maybe, pull up your pants and worry about your economics. Okay, fine. So why the hell do we need any of this conversation about Canada? Acquiring Canada, acquiring Greenland. Why do we need any of this? Let the people decide. Let the people of said nation decide. But no, it's going to be prosperous. It's going to be great. Think about it. The Gulf of America. It's going to be so wonderful. Just absolutely bonkers.